Welcome back. We're going to be talking about managing our economy today. We did not actually, I did say something along the lines of going for war this time around. However, I felt that it was necessary that before we go to war, we actually establish ourselves a bit of a economy. Now, while you guys were not watching, I finished the expansion tree, which means that we can add 2 additional core systems to our directly colonized systems list. This means that we have more access to things that we can play with. And as you can see, our first Ascension perk is now also available. Now, in terms of economy, when at the start of the game, we're about 21 years in my personal opinion, I wouldn't stress this very strongly that this is an opinion. This is not necessarily the main way to go. If you feel that there is a different way of playing this out, feel free to drop it in the comments. Is that I very, very rarely actively pursue technology at the start of the game. I like to actually pursue technology through going with diplomacy. Like, for instance, with these guys who we've got a sensor agreement, a research agreement with, which is great for us because it allows us to get a 25% bonus on top of any sort of technology that we do not have, which is great because it allows us to advance quicker than we would normally do. However, considering we are surrounded by several empires that are potentially dangerous, the Void that is all, and the commonality of Ulvis, we may want to focus a little bit more on our war infrastructure as well as our economy. Now, war itself we'll get to later, but economy right now is a bit more pressing. So let's take a look at what we have. Well, right now we've got a income of 10. We can click on the energy credits title, and it will open up this ledger, which will indicate where most of our expenses are going to and what we are actually producing. So most of our income is actually going to station maintenance, which is all these research stations and frontier outposts, etc. So we need to think about how can we actually offset all of this stuff. Well, there is a bunch of Unity bonuses that we can actually do. I believe they are in here. There should be a bunch of upkeep costs there. Yeah, building upkeep costs. So that's just normal buildings, but we can definitely deal with that. Anyway, as you can see, I've not actually tapped into a lot of the technological base within my empire, focusing mostly on energy as well as minerals. Now, obviously, there's a couple of exceptions. For instance, this physics pile over here, because I wanted to get a little bit more physics in just to balance off my my stuff. But still, it's a good time to start increasing your amount of minerals that you produce. The more minerals you produce, the more you can build, obviously, and this is a recurring effect. Obviously, for every single station, you will need a more energy to actually upkeep all of that. And once again, in the Ascension perks, you can get the adoption of prosperity, which reduces the building cost of mining stations. And I believe the adopting discovery will actually reduce the cost of research stations as well. So feel free to go for either these or even both. You don't actually need to finish an entire tree before you start another one. You can just adopt this, and there you go. You've got super cheap stations right off the bat. So here's another thing. Let's take a look at our worlds. Well, considering we've adopted the directly controlled colonized systems, fair enough. This also means that we can now manage this sector a bit better, which means that we can remove this planet and destroy the sector instantly. This will cost us 15 of these influence points. But it does mean that we can directly control the planet again. And we still have 1 additional planet available. Obviously, this comes after we finish the expansion slot, or whether or not we have enough planets available to in our directly controlled systems. Anyway, take a look at the surface here. As you can see, there is a lot of resources currently stuck under tile blockers, which are basically items that disallows you from building upon these tiles. If you go to this world, we see the same thing. This world is even worse. We can go to Earth. Obviously, it doesn't have anything there. So we have the option of going for our first Ascension perk. And yes, this does apply to our economy. We can, for instance, pick Technological Ascendancy, which increases our technology speed by 10. Sure, that would be a good idea. But right now, considering the amount of tile blockers that I have, I feel that mastery of nature is far more interesting, as it will completely negate all the cost of tile blockers. For instance, if we take a look at this, it will cost 75 to take it down, which is thousands upon thousands upon thousands of energy and minerals that we would require in order to bring all these tiles off and basically grow our population and improve our economy. So we're going to go for mastery of nature in this particular case. Obviously, there's cases where you want to go for something completely else. If you're, for instance, wedged in between two empires and you want to get a bunch of population going, then that is a thing as well. But basically, we can now remove all of these completely for free, which means that we have a lot more space to work with in terms when it comes to our population. In addition, we now have access to this Betharian stone tile, which is a local resource, which is going to be rather important when it comes to developing our economy as well. We'll do the same thing with all these other tiles. Okay. There you go. A lot of resources being cleared off here. Another Betharian stone tile. Very useful. It's going to give us a lot of additional energy very soon, and it allows some breathing space for our population as well. So, now comes an interesting question. If we go to Earth, we can see that we can upgrade our mining networks. If we want to upgrade our mining networks, it would cost us 90 minerals and would take 164 days to do. So it's slightly less than a year. However, considering it's 90 minerals, let's take a look at how much it would cost to build a singular mining station on a new planet. It would cost us also 90. The thing is, the real question here is, so right now, this gives us a bonus of 2. This gives us a bonus of 3. For 90, we can get double the income from the minerals on these planets in this in space. So I highly recommend that you get all your minerals on tiles, or at least planets that are plus at least more than 1, that you mine those first before you start upgrading anything on the planet. And it gets even ridiculous once you go for prosperity as well, because obviously the mining station modifier impacts things quite a lot. So that is something that you need to keep your eye on. So yeah, do not upgrade stuff on planet before you upgrade stuff in space. It's arguably cheaper to do so in space as long as the output is 2 or more. If it's 2 or more, you are golden. If it's 1, either or, it doesn't really matter. In that case, you may as well, because you may have some population that you can play around with. Obviously, this does not apply for tiles that are empty. For instance, this tile over here, if we would build a basic mine on this, it would produce 1 and we will get 2, so effectively it is a free it is basically free in that case, or at least it's a lot cheaper than a space station. But once we start upgrading, we start to come into really expensive territory, which we really want to watch out for. Now you're wondering, well, I could build, if I had a lot of minerals, I could build a lot of additional stuff in here. Like I could build a lot of food stuff, but I don't necessarily have the population to deal with all this stuff. Well, there is something else that you can do in terms to boost your economy and having all your buildings up and running without having to worry about the growth time of your population. You can, in fact, offer a migration treaty with a empire next door, which means that all the population will be able to move freely between planets and your empires. And this is the kicker. If you have a lot of influence, and which we do, and before I'll go into that, I'll just select this, because this also boosts our trust with them, plus 31 up to a maximum of 100. Considering the amount of planets that we have, we can completely and utterly, play around with this. Now, this population may be wanting to move away. That's fine. We don't have enough population to use all of these buildings. However, if you go to our edict list and we set up a land of opportunity, which will cost us 105 influence, and do that with every single one of our worlds, it means that everybody from their worlds will want to move to our space. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it... Oh, that's infrastructure progress. Let's go for land of opportunity instead. they will start to move en masse to our space, basically crippling them and allowing to get us to get ahead of them. Well, our planets are starting to flood full of people that we can use to fuel our economy, slowly but steadily. And that is exactly what we want. As soon as all of this is done and we're at around, say, plus 40, plus 50 minerals, and we start to be comfortable in space, and we start to build more colonies, and our fleets are expanding, then I suggest going for some science. Sure, you kind of want to aim for 1 science a year of time moved, but it's not really necessary, and I don't think it is all that important. Building up a strong basic economy first is what is important. And being able to abuse your neighbors, being able to build as much stuff in space as you possibly can, at least as long as there's a 2-point bonus, then you are golden. I hope this was useful to you in terms of managing your initial economy and being able to get ahead of the pack. Once again, energy, it's important. Make sure that you build as much energy and minerals as you can before going into the science. If you find yourself at around +3, it is time to start building more energy. If you're starting to buckle on minerals, well, you may as well start building more mines. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves and, of course, each other.